Anger is one of the most intense and disruptive emotions that all of us experience. It can stem from frustration over someone's words, disappointment in how others behave, or a sense of injustice when things don't go our way. Despite its power, anger is not an inevitable response. It is a reaction we choose, whether consciously or unconsciously. Stoic philosophy offers a profound and practical approach to managing and ultimately overcoming anger, helping us cultivate emotional resilience and inner peace. Stoicism teaches that while we may not control over external events or the actions of others, we always have full control over how we respond. By mastering our reactions, we can free ourselves from the grip of anger and live with greater clarity, patience, and self-possession. Anger arises when we perceive an injustice, an obstacle, or frustration in our path. It often emerges when reality does not align with our expectations, whether due to another person's actions or an external situation that we cannot control. However, Stoicism teaches that anger does not originate from the event itself, but from our interpretation of it. This is a crucial realization. If someone insults us or cuts us off in traffic, it is not their action that inherently causes our anger. It is our belief that we have been wronged. As Epictetus wisely stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This understanding is liberating. It means that by changing our perspective, we can prevent anger from taking hold. When we realize that external actions have only as much power over our emotions as we allow, we reclaim control. The key lies in recognizing that we are often attached to our own expectations and judgments, and that anger arises when those expectations are not met. Instead of allowing ourselves to be ruled by these reactions, Stoicism encourages us to question them and to view situations with rationality rather than emotional impulsivity. One of the most foundational Stoic principles is the dichotomy of control, which teaches that life consists of two categories: things that are within our control and things that are not. We have control over our thoughts, actions, and responses, but we do not control the actions, words, or thoughts of others. By focusing only on what is within our power, our own mindset and reactions, we free ourselves from unnecessary emotional suffering. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, captured this idea in Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you'll find strength. Many instances of anger stem from the mistaken belief that we can control others, how they behave, what they say, or what they think of us. But attempting to control the uncontrollable only leads to frustration. Instead of expending energy on changing others, the Stoic approach is to let go of this illusion and master our own minds. True strength lies not in forcing the world to conform to our desires, but in adapting ourselves to reality with wisdom and patience. One of the most effective tools for managing anger is the ability to pause before reacting. Stoicism encourages us to take a step back in moments of frustration, allowing ourselves a moment to breathe and reflect before responding. This practice disrupts the automatic cycle of emotional reaction and gives us the space to choose a more rational and constructive response. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, warned of the destructive nature of unchecked anger. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. In other words, the damage we inflict on ourselves and others through anger is often far worse than the initial offense that triggered it. By pausing, we allow ourselves to ask important questions. Is this reaction truly necessary? Will my anger improve the situation or make it worse? What would a wise and rational person do in this moment? These moments of reflection can be transformative. Instead of reacting impulsively, we can choose to act with reason, ensuring that our response aligns with our values and long-term well-being. Practicing empathy and understanding. Another powerful Stoic practice for overcoming anger is cultivating empathy. When someone behaves in a way that frustrates or offends us, instead of reacting with hostility, we can try to understand the motivations behind their actions. Often, people act out their own struggles, insecurities, or ignorance. Their behavior may have little to do with us personally and may instead reflect their own internal battles. Marcus Aurelius advised, whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what is it that I am really angry about? This reflection shifts the focus inward, prompting us to examine our own expectations and emotional triggers rather than placing all the blame on others. By choosing to see situations with greater understanding, we replace anger with compassion. We recognize that just as we sometimes act irrationally or out of frustration, so do others. Instead of allowing their behavior to disturb our peace, we can acknowledge their humanity and move forward without resentment. A major source of anger is the expectation that people should behave in a way that aligns with our personal standards. We assume that others should be kind, fair, and considerate at all times. When they fail to meet these expectations, we become frustrated. However, Stoicism reminds us that such expectations are often unrealistic. Epictetus taught, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This means accepting the reality that people will not always act in the way we desire. Human nature is complex and unpredictable, and we cannot expect perfection. Rather than becoming angry when people disappoint us, we can adjust our expectations and accept them for who they are. By releasing our rigid demands on others, we free ourselves from the cycle of anger and frustration. Instead of constantly battling against the world as we think it should be, we learn to embrace the world as it is. This shift in perspective fosters a sense of inner peace, making it far easier to navigate life without being disturbed by the inevitable shortcomings of others. The purpose of Stoicism is not to suppress or ignore our emotions, but to master them. By applying these principles, understanding the roots of anger, recognizing what is within our control, pausing before reacting, practicing empathy, and letting go of unrealistic expectations, we cultivate a deep sense of emotional resilience. When we no longer allow external events or other people's behavior to disturb our tranquility, we achieve a level of emotional freedom. Anger loses its grip on us, and we become the masters of our own minds. As Epictetus wisely said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." By embracing Stoic wisdom in our daily lives, we gain the ability to navigate challenges with grace, patience, and strength. We become more resilient, more centered, and ultimately more in control of our emotional lives. Anger no longer holds power over us. Only our reason and inner peace do.